Hi guys, today we are going to solve Leetcode question number 3335, which is total characters in string after transformations first. Okay, so the description here says that you are given a string s and an integer d representing the number of transformations to perform. In one transformation, every character in s is replaced according to the following rules. And the rules are: if the character is z, replace it with the string ab, otherwise replace it with the next character in the alphabet. For example, A is replaced with B is replaced with C, and so on. And at last, we have to return the length of the resulting string after exactly 3 transformations. Since the answer may be very large, return it modulo 10 raised to the power 9 plus 7. Okay, so as the given example, the input string is given as A, B, C, Y, Y, and this number of transformations is given as 2. So as the explanation, A will be turned to B, B will be turned to C, C will be turned to D, and Y will be turned to Z, and Y will be turned to Z in the first transformation. So the string length will contain 5 characters. Okay, so in the second transformation, B will become C, C will become D, D will become E, and Z will become AB, and the another Z will also become AB. So the length of character will become 7. So at last, after T transformation, we will return the length of the string as 7. Okay, so for the solution approach, we will evaluate the frequency of each character in the string initially, and we will store it in the long array f1, and then we will iterate through each transformation given in the header, and we will update the next frequency of the string after that particular transformation. Like A will be A from the character A to Y, it will be incremented by 1, and the character Z will be incremented as AB. So the frequency of A and B will be incremented when Z comes. Okay, so after T transformation, we will compute the total length by summing all the frequency and mod it by 10 raised to the power 7, as it may be large in number. So the time complexity of this approach is big O of n plus t, as we are evaluating and increasing the frequency of each character in the array, and we are also iterating through T transformations as well. And the space complexity will be big O of 1, as we are only using 2 long arrays of the size 26. So the space complexity will be constant. Okay, so now let's move to the code. Firstly, we will have a final integer variable mod that will contain the number 10 raised to the power 9 plus 7, and then we will have an initial frequency array of long having 26 characters, and the frequency of that string will be evaluated and stored in this array. Now we will iterate through each element or each character in the string present here, and then we will increment the frequency in the particular f1 array. We will convert the string to char array, and then we will increment the frequency as given here. And now we will iterate through each number of transformation t given here. We will do iterate with the variable step equal to 0, and we will iterate till step is less than t. Now we will have another long array f2 that will store the new frequency in the particular transformation. We will iterate from the characters 0 to 25 only, because the character Z will be a special case. For that, we have to increment the frequency of A and B both, but till A to Y, we have to increment only the frequency 1. So you will state this condition like f2i plus 1 will be equals to f2i plus 1 plus f1 of I. Like the previous frequency of that character will be incremented with the present frequency, and then we will mod it by 10 raised to the power 9 plus 7, or we can say that the final integer mod. Now for the z variable, if the z variable comes, the frequency of a and b will both be incremented. So we will take this case and we will implement the value of f2 of 0 and f2 of 1 only, like the frequency of only a and b will be changed in that particular case. We will make the particular changes like f2 of 0 equals to f2 of 0 plus f1 of 25, like the previous value of z. Then we will mod it by the variable mod. So now we will have another long result variable which will be initialized to 0, and before that we have to transfer the value of f2 frequency array to f1 frequency array, because in another transformation that frequency array will be incremented further. Now we will have a long result variable and we will iterate through every frequency of f1 array, and we will increment the value of result variable and mod it by 10 raised to the power 9 plus 7, and at last we will return the value result. Now we will run this code. Okay, so there is some error in this one. We will run again. Okay, we have to return an integer and result variable is of long. We will typecast it to int. We also have to initialize the variable. Okay, so now we will run this code and it accepts all the test cases. Now we will submit it and it makes 39.24% solution. You can comment on this video if required. Thank you.